It's theoretically possible for someone in Seattle to look at the information I brought forward and say that changes things. Experientially, I predict that it's not going to happen. And the reason why it is psychologically impossible for Seattle to undig their own grave by questioning and shedding more realistic light on what Obama pulled is hubris. Um, Joe Biden will never be able to go back from his dark, ignominious, pusillanimous refusal to seek a ceasefire immediately against Netanyahu. Instead, he armed those crooked Israelis to the teeth. He'll never live that down. And I think that Seattle realizes that it's too late for them too. But even if it weren't, hubris would stop them. They have no meaningful honor code. They're not capable of revising their idiocy in light of reality. That in Houdini is an established fact. Biden crows the tune, ironically, of Donald Trump, that we have lost our moral center. It's as if he's Jethro Tull, thick as a brick, which, by the way, the letters of Gail Burstyn were thick as a brick. The hare who has lost his spectacles, somebody has stolen them. Hare is a double entendre, and Wetton of King Crimson worked with Jethro Tull, meaning the thick as a brick letters came from them. Wetton is like Wattenmaker, that sort of morphology experience is implicit in all of the index name codes, nom de guerres that they deployed as Ian Wattenmaker's IWW. So what is this moral code that we've lost? Well, if you believe Snowden's basic orientation, one of the things is that dignity requires knowing when to stop probing. Respect for others, in other words, is implied by the old adage, gentlemen don't read other gentlemen's mail. But the postal union took care of that. The postal union now plays pussy ball. And one of the things that we know about the moral compass of the hare who lost his spectacles is that it doesn't mean every good boy deserves favor. That's what they claim it means. What it means is that the Indians and the Jews went out the back door of the bank with the man's deposit, because nothing can undo the Green Party's slander. Had I known that Alpina was married on April 16th, 1987, a signal day, I would not have slept with her. This cannot be undone. They have no honor code that can recognize it, but it cannot be undone. That is the gross reality of the situation. And what they did was an evil travesty from girly men like Clint Eastwood. Why do I call him he's a macho character? No, he's an ugly, vainglorious, girly man. When Natasha Kinski, Vanessa Slack, what's her name? Ivanka Trump talked about Goya, promoted Goya, the disasters of war was being implied. The Zionists have a name for your sister. They call it Shiska. And people in the movement are taught not to say that's not what we are, but to say, I don't care what you call us, so hang. And so to embrace the degradation of the gossipy minds of these girly men calling your sister Shiska. It's depraved, gossipy minds like Clint Eastwood that refuse to dignify that some women can take care of their own bodies. Instead, they theme Hollywood makeup, impinge on the persona's experience. These redneck hussies who seduce you and they go whining to their daddy, he used me. These are girly men. They're the type of people who break into your house when you're not there and read your mail and then lie about what it said. They don't even deign to be helpful. They're too busy playing pussy ball. And they claim that every good boy deserves favor. They didn't give me a choice when they locked me into Clem's shack with Didi Mancini. They made damn sure that I couldn't comprehend anything by torturing me before they did it. The EGBDF doesn't apply to Biden's idea of a moral compass. His idea of a moral compass is to stockpile Zionists. Imagine was the theme song of Zionism. It comes from the Sobibor fiddlers who led what Goebbels called the merchandise, and these people are openly allied to Goebbels. The Jewish Defense League deployed a man who extolled Goebbels in his letters. The Zionists believe that if you want to go to heaven, let them kill you. And this is Biden's moral compass. Well, you would think the black people would have something to do to uplift us from all of this, but they don't. Black psychology is wound compare. Black psychology is child psychology. If the white man says it, it doesn't apply. Let me tell you what I think Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King would say. They would say, if a society holds dignified norms that do not include us, they need to be reformed. Instead, they say, to hell with your Hippocratic oath. We're going to spread violence and hate and mayhem and say, huh. And when you call us our sisters Shiskas, we're going to say, we don't care what you call us. Instead of, that's not what we are. We're dignified people. We're fighting for reforms. I don't know what kind of moral compass Biden lost, but the only direction it points is north. And he means the Dixon north, which is south. It's upside down. And boy, is it ever a headache to have to try to deal with it. I saw a film called Anna and the King when Midori Goto was pulling her hussy caper of Two Virgins Pussy Ball with Ivanka Trump, what's her name, you know. Then they had this line of supply clocked to the neurological injury. And when I took a bite of food and hunger, they somehow neurohypnotized me to the loss of Midori Goto. And in Anna and the King, it has this woman who was in love with a Buddhist monk, a poor Buddhist. And the king takes her, and although he weeps and she weeps, the spell of the greater power of the seducer falls over her face too. This is a bunch of mind-shattering human trafficking psychopathy from Toon and his bedfellows in Hollywood. They don't care. They think the moral compass is never have abortions, and then you will deserve favor. Well, even if that were true, you don't see them practicing it. To them, they're using board. Do you think the people who went out the back door of the bank with the man's deposit care about abortion? Are you that lunatic? Yes, they are that lunatic. Now, I don't like my friends, I don't like hating people in Seattle. On occasions, had some encounters, but I don't want to encourage anybody from Seattle. I really do not. But I hate to see my friends suffer from the inability to decipher riddles that are relatively easy to decipher if you have the information to decipher them with. If you really lost your moral compass, try this information. Back in the 80s, when this goblin affair got off the ground, from these letters from the 70s, when Reagan was in his finest hour of bribing the black man with the power of tycoons on the monopoly board. There was a man named Michael Foucault who was the West's most decadent philosopher who met with the Ayatollah Khomeini. And shortly thereafter, Israel began smuggling weapons to the Ayatollah's government on behalf of Reagan. This was all at the time that Michael Foucault met with the Ayatollah too. With that kind of information, you can get to the bottom of the psychopathy of the Green Party, and you can establish yourself as an honest person through abandonment of hubris. How hard is it to just say, I didn't understand? It's not like Lenin's Houdini was plain as day. It is once you see the evidence for it. I mean, denying it is just going to be digging your own grave with Biden under the hymnography of Netanyahu. Don't be a girly man like Eastwood. Be an honest human being.